But so round one, I was very pleased to start playing as white. And I was very surprised my opponent was provisionally rated. She was provisionally rated about 200. And when I got to the playing hall and started sitting at my board, her mom was there and she was like, "Oh yeah, your brother usually takes a long time with his games." And then the girl I was playing, I'll call her C for privacy. Um, she basically wanted to finish her game and go home to do her homework on a Friday night, classic chess nerd. But it seemed like her and her mom were mostly playing the tournament because her brother was a more serious chess competitor, but they were playing for the fun of it. So I opened d4. She replies d5. c4. I am so excited to be playing a Queen's Gambit, my first game over the board in this tournament. And we go for a Slav. So I've been learning my Slav response from John Bartholomew on Chessable, and he recommends knight f3 first, and if they go knight f6, we bring the other knight out to match it. And then she takes here, which is a book move. Everything so far has been book, and a4 here is a book move with the idea being that if b5 is played to try to save the c4 pawn, you can take here and then you get to regain your pawn. Oh no, a Slav, yawn, amuser. No, just wait. Now we're out of book. She moves her knight a second time in the opening, and yeah, we're officially out of theory. So I spent a little bit of time here deciding, do I take the knight back? Do I try to kick the knight? Like, what's my development move here? And ultimately, I decided taking the knight back was not in my best interest. It was in her best interest, because if I took the knight back, she could take with the pawn, and then she has really nice pawns here, undoubled, and there is no way I'm ever regaining my pawn. So I kick the knight out. She takes, I take, and unfortunately, in my mind, I was nervous here because b5 is very strong, because if b5 and I take, I can't easily get rid of this pawn now, and now she's going to dispute up that pawn from the gambit, right? But luckily for me, that's not what ended up happening here. She goes bishop g4 for some attempt at a pin on my knight. So I said, okay, I will gladly take that pawn back. And now my position is great. I'm really feeling confident in where this game can head for me. She prepares to bring her bishop out somewhere, I'm not quite sure where, and I go ahead and castle. Often in Slav positions, the dark squared bishop for white is a little bit of a problem child, because maybe we can trade it off, maybe it can go here, but I still wasn't quite sure where I wanted it to go. So I let her make a move. I brought my queen up to remove myself from this pin, so my knight has options, which was best move. I was thinking really a long time about all my moves, which I think my opponent was really annoyed by, because she just wanted to be done and go do her homework on a Friday night. But nope, I was taking my sweet time, unapologetic about it. The queen going to e7, it's not a mistake according to the engine, but it's not the best move, because now I can kick the bishop and it has to go to a really depressingly inactive square. Nova, I'm describing you in a 60-30 game. You were the one that wanted to go finish your homework. uh, yeah, my opponent was great. I think she had a copy of like Harry Potter sitting on the sidelines. Like, she was prepared for the long haul of this tournament with her brother taking forever. Um, and what a savage move here. Bishop a3, threatening the queen, and even when the queen moves, black can't castle, because can't castle through a check. So Yeah, I was feeling very pleased with myself at this point. Queen has to move out of the way, obviously. And now I'm kicking the bishop out. Like, all of my pieces are developed. Black is woefully undeveloped with no current plan to be able to castle a kingside. Maybe there can be a queenside castle, but even then, like, where are you going to put the knight? Hello, Tiger. How am I? I'm good. I'm reviewing round 1 from a tournament I played this weekend. There was a better square to put the queen than d7. If we go back here, let's see. The green bishop. Oh, I was so pleased about this move. I was so pleased about this move. Yeah. Yeah, d8 would have worked also. Engine thinks that queen d8 is the best option here for black. Yeah. So, yeah, the queen doesn't have a lot of squares from d7. Really, she would have had the same number of squares from d8. But actually, why is queen d8 slightly better? Because intuitively it makes sense. You'd be panicking if you were black. Ah, the knight is stuck. Well spotted. Yeah, the queen was on d8 instead of d7. The knight could have jumped in. Black is pretty lost here. Interestingly, material is equal, but my position is so crushing that black has no progress to make. But she kept playing. So I kicked the bishop. Not best move here. Knight d2 would have been stronger. But I didn't mind simplifying because my pieces are all really active. And reviewing, I have to ask these questions. Otherwise, I'm explaining what I know. That's true. And in these recap explanations, it's always kind of like a going through my thought process to explain to you guys versus going through moves that I should have made and didn't. So I have my annotations in my notation here on the side that I'm kind of referencing as we go. But yeah. Knight d2, knight e4, knight d6. Yeah. d2, knight e4. Knight e4? Oh, my knight. I see. Not c5. That would have been great. Well spotted, Amuser. But I didn't do that. I kicked the bishop. The bishop moved. I moved my queen, and now I have big ideas of bringing rooks in, I think. Or at least, like, my position is so good that I have lots of flexibility and ideas here. So she starts a pawn storm. What was my tournament result? You're going to find out. You're going to find out. I didn't win the division or the section. I didn't place. But for the specific number, you'll have to stay tuned. I will be posting all of my recaps on YouTube. I think I'll do like 1 round per day just for the YouTube algorithm gods. But yeah. Okay, so I didn't play perfectly. This was not the right idea because my bishop has like no scope here. No scope, no hope. Where can it go? It can't go forward, right? That would be a terrible square for it. It can't go here because it's not defended from c2. And going back to d1 is just sad, right? So the stronger move would have actually been to propose a bishop trade. Okay, so finally C is able to get her knight out. The knight has no future from a6 because any forward squares it has are very well defended. But, you know, at least her piece is in the game now. And so I decide that her only truly active piece, I need to get kicked out. She solves her castling problem. Remember, she couldn't castle kingside. She solves her castling problem by castling queenside, which is outrageous to me because all of my pieces are just like lined up. Just everything is available to attack the king. Everything. So I start to capitalize. I move my queen here to serve, well, I thought it served 2 purposes, but it only served 1. The purpose that it didn't serve was I was like, oh, I can take here, she takes, I win. No, I don't, because this is defended twice. But the more important reason I made this move was so that this check is on the board, because I'm starting to look for mate at this point. Because after this castle, it just, my pieces are going to be very happy. So I played queen f3 to play g4, g4, knight g2, knight g2. That's a lot more elegant. It actually reminds me of round 3 from this tournament a little bit, but not what we did here. Did I think it was mate? For a brief second I did, but I very quickly realized that the knight was going to be able to get to b8 and it was not mate. However, there are huge threats to be made even if this check and this is given, because this pawn isn't defended. It can't easily be defended because my pieces can start coming in. Like, everything is going to be lining up. So she tries to kick my knight, but luckily I'm able to capture a piece. She takes back, and I go after the pawn here with a discovered attack on the knight. So it's not quite a discovered attack because she has a counter attack she can make on my queen, which is slightly more valuable than this knight. But luckily for me, this check is coming in handy. Unluckily for me, the knight is no longer being attacked. However, it's crushing for black. It's gotta be closely over because my queen is infiltrating. Rook is lining up with some sights. Maybe this bishop feels awkwardly placed for the time being. However, it can potentially laser and re-scope its target back to support the attack on the queen side. So I take the pawn. Queen comes in to propose a trade. And I realized I didn't want to take that trade because if she decided to take my queen, then I could keep that knight pinned. And if the knight's pinned, then my attack on the king felt more potent. I grabbed a free pawn. I probably didn't need to do that. Engine actually preferred rerouting the bishop here to kind of give it more scope this way. But not a perfect play. So she does take, which I don't think she should have. Because how is my rook ever leaving a8? She attempts to open up to see my king, but a couple weeks ago on stream, we talked about the idea of umbrella pawns, and I remembered that in this moment. Hello, T-Chex. Good to see me again. Yeah, I took a week off, but now I'm recapping a tournament, and this is round 1. And stream coming in handy here, because I didn't have to take that pawn. I could push, and I'm completely fine. There was a slightly better move here. Bishop f4 would have been best. Bishop f4. But I liked my move because, first of all, she couldn't make this threat anyway because my bishop is guarding that square, but just kind of cutting off any possibilities for her pawn was important to me here. She kicks my bishop. I retreat my bishop. She attacks my rook, but I have this great check that makes the king retreat practically and protects my rook. And so now I am starting to look for a mate, but with tempo, right? Because every move I am aiming to make is also attacking one of my opponent's pieces. So she has to move her rook. I start lining up my rook for something here. You didn't think much of bishop h5. Bishop h5. It's much better on f3. Yeah, Engine thought that f3 wasn't the best move, but I had kept that in my eyes for quite a while because I really liked my rook limiting the rest of her piece activity. And having it have long range protection seemed pretty dang good to me. And so now this pawn is lost because she can't defend it. So she, to her credit, continues playing, continues trying to push pawns and make some threats, but unfortunately her attacks just aren't going to be quick enough. And this move is savage because her only choice here is to block my check with a rook. And so I'm completely ignoring her pawn storm because she doesn't have time to actually follow through on it. And king cannot escape. So this or this are the only options. She goes for the better option, which if I did want to exchange here, at least there was something for her, right? And then another savage move. I don't even have to take the rook first. I can take that pawn because the rook's still pinned. Engine actually thinks that taking this pawn first would have been better, but okay, Engine. The advantage to me is so crushing that I like my move just fine. So the king moves out of the pin, and then, oh, look at this tactical idea. Sort of on the surface, sacrificing the exchange. Sort of. But it's not. Because when they recapture, there's a check here. King has to move. And now I get a rook. So just taking stock of the position, I have a rook and 2 bishops and 4 pawns. She has a rook and 2 pawns. Brutal, nice, fine. Yeah, I was very pleased with that tactic. And so, of course, now I'm just looking to simplify the position. I had been taking my sweet time with this game because it was my first over-the-board game in quite some time. I had a bunch of time. So I was looking for best moves for a lot of the game so far. Successfully sometimes, less successfully others. But at this point, I knew it was a win for me as long as I didn't blunder. Don't worry, I didn't blunder. But I didn't necessarily make all best moves for the remainder of the game. So to her credit, she does continue fighting by taking a pawn. I take back. She gives a check. And now my king is on e3, completely safe. There is nothing her rook can do to threaten me anymore. It's over. And she attempts to get her rook back in the game. I think, she sees that my king and my bishop are on the same rank, so she's going for a tactical idea here. Unfortunately for her, I have a faster tactical idea to fork the king and the rook. My rook, which is protected by my long-range bishop. So this is forcing, right? So she has to take. I take back. And now I'm marching my king forwards just to simplify the position. Grab that pawn. And here, there's been so many savage moves in this game. I'm not worried about her eating my pawns because I can lock the entire pawn chain with my dark squared bishop. And now I just have all the time in the world. So I give another fork check to capture her final pawn. And she's just marching her king around. And at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and promote another piece. Oh, I did save this victory. I mean, she didn't resign, so I'm just gonna take my sweet time, right? And actually, here, there was an illegal move made. This was not the move she made in the game. She made this move, and neither of us caught it. This move is illegal because it's moving her king into check. But I was so pleased with the fact that her king here meant that I could promote with check that I didn't even spot it was illegal. So there was a slight issue towards the end, but the result here is the same. I promote, she moves her king. This was actual move, d5. And then I had this checkmate in the middle of the board. And so that was round one. I bullied the pants off a 200 provisionally rated player who then went to go do her homework at 9 o'clock on a Friday night. A good game? Yeah, it was decent. And now let me show you the little review pane. I'll move this, I don't know, just there for now is fine, I guess. Review pane. So just absolutely crushing game. I played with a very strong advantage for most of it. And it was interesting to me that it wasn't a material advantage until well into the middle game. A lot of this was just positional advantage, which at my level of chess, you don't see this as often. I think positional advantages happen way less than material advantages. Do American tournaments still have that crazy rule where everybody has to bring their own sets and clocks? Yeah, we had to bring our own sets and clocks, and there were a couple pairings that neither person had a set or a clock, and the TDs were like, oh, well, we have them available for purchase. And I was like, oh, sorry, guys. Yeah, we had to bring our own sets and clocks, but we were able to use our own scorebooks, which I liked because I like having all my games in one notebook. Positional advantages are tricky to convert. Yeah, for a newer chess player, my opponent fought beautifully. Looking at the accuracy, can you guys see the accuracy? No, you cannot. Let me... There, okay, it's super tiny, but you can kind of see the accuracy here. I played with 89.6% accuracy. She played with 78.4, which for a 200 rated player is insane. She did a great job. And if you look at the moves here, I only made one inaccuracy according to the game analysis here. She didn't make any mistakes. She made no blunders. She just didn't have the positional ideas. And Nova, yeah, usually tournaments, you can't use your own scorebooks. This tournament, for the sections that were 2000 and below, they were a little more loose with the rules. Or not with the rules, but the elite section and the open section and the I think it was under 2200 section, they all had to keep their phones somewhere else, and I think that their rule set was a little stricter, but the rest of us, it was just a free-for-all. And yeah, and you never use it, you just have space in your backpack. Yeah, I was mad because my first round, I forgot my scorebook, so I had to write just on paper, and bummed me out. I think I'm gonna transcribe the notation to my notebook. I left room for the round. So yeah, I was feeling great after my first round here. I really like how I played. Great confidence booster. Went home feeling like, oh, I love over the board chess. Over the board chess is the best thing. You have all the time to think about your moves and just find the best ones. And I was waxing poetic to my husband about it all night. I'm sure he was really annoyed by it.